Natalia was shocked. She gaped at Fraser with her almond-shaped eyes. That was the first time in her memory that Fraser had been angry enough to shout at her. Instantly, a strong feeling of resentment rose in her heart. "Fraser, are you a man or not?" She started throwing questions at him. "How dare you be mean to me now? Have you even stopped to think about why I might be doing this? Are you really so foolish? Do you really think I would need to compromise myself like this if you had even the slightest bit of skill at your job? Was there a need to degrade me like this?" Fraser was silent and lowered his head in shame. Indeed, he was well aware of how many times Natalia had taken the flak for him during the years he had been in the family. Hearing Natalia's sobbing, Fraser's heart softened, and his anger dissipated. He tried to reach out and give her a hug to comfort her, but she pushed him away. "Don't touch me," she barked. "I'm really sick of you. After enduring so many years, I'm tired of trying. If it doesn't work out, then do as my parents say. We need to get divorced." Her voice was getting louder. "No, I won't." Fraser shook his head stubbornly in refusal. Natalia rolled her eyes in anger. For the past 3 years, Fraser never said no to her except when the topic of divorce came up. In these cases, he would become adamant in his protests. "Natalia," Fraser began, his tone softer. He slowly sat down by the foot of the bed, making sure that he didn't get too close to her. "Look, I know I've asked you to trust me before. Can you trust me again this time?" "Trust you again?" Natalia grimaced. She had already heard those words countless times, and it had convinced her of one thing. Men were liars. However, when she turned toward him and saw Fraser's serious expression, one that she had never seen before, she swallowed the words that were about to come out of her mouth. She didn't know if it was an illusion or not, but his demeanor gave her a sense of reliability and control. Seeing that she was silent, Fraser inched closer and gently held her cold hand in his. "Natalia, do you still remember the promise I made to you? The promise that no matter what happens, I won't let you get hurt? Trust me one last time, okay? I have a surprise planned for tomorrow." "Whatever you have planned, don't try it," she warned, as she pulled her hand away. "There is no way you'll be able to sell 100 properties. It's impossible. Don't make empty promises." She reached for her bag and started to stuff stockings into it. Suddenly, she paused, looking at him, and spoke with a sense of calmness kicking in. "Look, I'm not cheap or foolish. Even if I do meet with Mose tomorrow, I won't let things go too far." With that, Natalia left the room to eat dinner with the family, leaving Fraser sitting alone on the end of the bed with a wry smile on his face. She's being naive, he thought. If she has dinner with Mose tomorrow, it will be like sending a lamb into a lion's den. I'm sure Mose has 100 ways to try to get her to sleep with him. After everyone gathered around the table to eat dinner, Fraser had just grabbed his fork to take a bite of food when Dorothy started to criticize him again. This time, however, she was back to urging him to divorce Natalia as soon as possible.
"Fraser, the deadline we set for you is almost up," Dorothy said. "You haven't even started earning what we asked you to. You're barely bringing home $1,000 a month. That's not enough to support one person, let alone two."
"What? You're only bringing home $1,000 a month? That's not even enough for me to buy enough cigarettes to smoke in a month." James, Natalia's jobless brother, spoke with a look of disdain on his face. He seemed to be forgetting the fact that he himself wasn't working, and he was sitting around all day without any source of income.
"Mom, James, why can't you two just drop it?" Natalia asked quietly. "Let's just try to have a peaceful meal."
You want to have a peaceful meal? The question came from Houstus, who rarely said anything. He didn't look up as he added. All right, then. It's time for you to move out with your foolish husband. Houstus was Natalia's father. He had been born into a wealthy family that was successful in business, the Laplace family. However, because of his poor ability, he had been kicked out of the family's main business 10 years ago and was given the job of managing an ailing company in San Clemente, also owned by the Laplace family. What? Natalia shouted. She was shocked and looked at her father in surprise. Dad, are you joking? She asked. You want us to move out? Why? Houstus put down his knife and fork and looked at his daughter seriously. He then looked at James, who had a smug expression on his face, and said, Your brother has had a hard time sorting out his marriage. His fiancée has said that she doesn't like the number of people living here and that she doesn't want anyone else here except for them, your mom, and me. Dad, you... Let me finish. I've considered it seriously. Your sister is still in college and has been living there for a long time. You're doing quite well, so you can at least rent a place for the two of you. Natalia was enraged. She slapped her hand on the table and asked, Why should we? This house is 2,000 square feet, so why can't it accommodate the two of us? That woman is asking too much before she's even married. She's way too overbearing. James immediately tried to protect his fiancée. Be careful, Natalia. That's rude. She's your future sister-in-law, so change your attitude. Also, you're already married. Just because you're married to a loser, you can't expect our entire family to support him. Finally, Houstus slammed the table with his fist and shouted, Enough! Your mother and I only have one son, and we'll be leaving this house to him in the future. Natalia, you're earning quite a bit now, so it's not like you can't support yourself, Dorothy chimed in. You're being ungrateful, Natalia hissed. I might have earned a lot, but I've paid more than my fair share into this family. Seeing that his wife's anger was building to a dangerous level, Fraser whispered to her, Natalia, don't argue with them. It's fine if we need to find our own place. James looked appreciatively at Fraser. Previously, he was worried that Fraser was only after a stake in his inheritance. Natalia cursed angrily at her husband. You're pathetic, she said. You're the one who said that I shouldn't allow myself to be bullied. You're just too weak. She angrily left the table and returned to her bedroom. Fraser followed her, and soon Natalia's indignant voice could be heard again as she continued to berate her husband from the bedroom. James didn't take it to heart, but when he saw that his parents seemed pretty disappointed, he said, Dad, Mom, don't worry about it. Let's just eat. Although Fraser is a waste of space, at least his cooking isn't so bad. Later that night, Fraser got up from bed, walked over to Natalia's bedside, and knelt next to her. He felt sorry for her when he saw that she was still frowning, even though she was asleep. There were traces of tears on her face. He stroked her hair and mumbled, Natalia, moving out of here will be fine. Don't worry. After speaking softly, he looked at her beautiful body for a long time. He thought of how he had endured 2 years of suffering while he guarded his better half. Snapping out of his thoughts, he muttered, I really don't know when this will all come to an end.